I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but Louis Vuitton basically is launching their beauty in 2 days, as you can see on their official website on the 25th of August. They've actually already sent some samples to press. So press have done reviews and different fashion journalists are doing their reviews on it, kind of what the experience is. And the conversation overall has been quite good. But for context, for people that don't really know, Louis Vuitton is actually very late to the beauty game. They do have a fragrance line, but in terms of like having an extensive beauty line of lipsticks and eyeshadow and stuff like that, they haven't really done that, which is crazy because a lot of the rivals, if you think of Hermès, you think of Prada, you think of Gucci, you think of Chanel, you think of Armani, these are companies that have very extensive cosmetic lines. So it's quite interesting that, they're just launching it now. And there are many interesting aspects to the launch. I mean, Pat McGrath is involved in it. It was kind of the makeup collection was actually developed in partnerships with Pat McGrath. You also have like different designers that design the casing and stuff like that, which is very interesting. But what has taken over the narrative more so than anything else is the fact that these cost $160, which I think is a very, very valid conversation to be having. And the reason why is because they have outpriced every competitor. And I actually did some research to see what are the prices of lipsticks by their competitors. So this is the As website. And you can see that As, which is supposedly the top of the food chain when it comes to mass luxury fashion, at least. Because there's a level of luxury fashion where everything is bespoke and it's like way more expensive. But in terms of like mass market products, Hermès is supposed to be top of the food chain, and their lipsticks are £66. So the Louis Vuitton lipsticks are significantly more expensive. And via BOF, they actually have this really great graph where they actually show you the different prices between a lot of these luxury brands and their lipsticks. So you can see Dior is $48, Chanel is $50, Tom Ford is $62, and Hermès is $81, with Louis Vuitton sitting right at the top of the food chain at $160. Now, why this is very interesting, I think, to me at least, from a business standpoint, is the reasons why I think people really want to buy it and people are waiting patiently for the launch, and a reason why I think that this might backfire. So first of all, the reason why I think it might work, I think that one thing that Louis Vuitton has done really expertly is that nothing is really affordable in the sense of everything is more expensive than what their competitors make when it comes to those entry point things, the things like their small leather goods, they tend to be quite more expensive than others. So it helps keep that air of exclusivity with the brand and luxury. It doesn't seem like Louis Vuitton is as accessible as a lot of other luxury brands, right? So it helps their branding in a way. And this kind of ultra expensive lipstick just kind of helps it even more. I said it makes Chanel look like a bargain. A Rose says Chanel 31 La Rouge lipstick is $195 and comes in a clear glass tube. I like how it looks much better than the LV. I'm not sure why the press isn't mentioning the Chanel. Yeah, I think it's because, of course, Louis Vuitton is pricing all their lipsticks at $160. So it's a bit different to Chanel. I think in this, from what I was looking at, this launch has more than 60 different shades of lipsticks, which is a lot. Most luxury brands have around 14 to 20. So I think that's why the press is not talking about it. Because there will be some brands that have, lipsticks here and there that have a similar price, but their whole line is not at that price. Like Louis Vuitton, their whole line is priced that way. But yeah, so why I think people will buy this anyway. So I think the positioning, because you're buying something that's accessible in the sense that a lot of people in the West can save $160 and buy lipstick. Do I think it's grossly overpriced? Of course. But do I think people that really want the Louis Vuitton lipstick will buy it? Yes. I think a lot of people are also going to buy it because of the case. I've seen a lot of the discourse online where people are talking about how much they really like the case. So that's been a big conversation about it. I think also another big reason why I think a lot of people will buy it is a lot of people fall for the storytelling, and Louis Vuitton will start talking about the savoir-faire and the craftsmanship that went behind the crafting of the case. And I saw in the press release, actually, Louis Vuitton was talking about how this lipstick is kind of like an art piece. It's not just a lipstick. With the way that the casing is designed, you can place it on your desk and it's kind of a nice accessory for your desk. So they're kind of branding it that way, and some people will buy it for that reason. I've also seen some reports of, I was reading some of the reviews that journalists have done and different people that work in the beauty industry that have received samples have done. And they did say that the formulation is really good. The application of the lipstick is really smooth. It's long lasting as a wear. It feels hydrating on the lips. So that's what they claim. Can I take their word as gospel? Not really, because some of these things are paid. And some of these magazines, you know, Louis Vuitton has ad spend for a lot of these magazines. So would they really say anything negative about it? Probably not. So I think those reviews are neither here nor there. But it seems that across the board, there is a sort of, you know, positive reaction to the lipstick, which I don't think it should be surprising though, because if you're charging $160 for lipstick, I'm sure the lipstick should be hydrating on the lips at like a minimum, right? Here we have some eyeshadow palettes that they made with Pat McGrath, of course, the lipstick too. This is what everyone was geeking out on. And then, of course, the campaign. Here you just see a lot of their different campaigns that they've done for their beauty line. Kristen Louboutin helped start the $50 plus lipstick, but it has great lip product in a gorgeous case. Yeah, ADF says, I see nothing special about the case. I don't either. I'm essentially just the messenger who is telling you kind of the discourse online and what people are saying and the reason why people are like, yeah, I'm really going to buy this. And people are really, really vying for buying this. So I think it's really interesting in terms of the beauty industry. I also think that this is very in line with the other beauty stuff that Louis Vuitton does, right? Louis Vuitton actually makes fragrances that are quite high in terms of price compared to a lot of their competitors. Yeah, they're like base, like 100 mil is 260 and 200 mil is 380. That's more expensive than Dior's private line. Literally more expensive than Dior's private. Only slightly, but it is more expensive than Dior's private line. Because Dior's private line is 375 for 200 mil. So Louis Vuitton already is kind of more expensive than the competitors. It's way more expensive than G's Van Noten. It's way so they're pricing alongside private lines of a lot of other brands that have been making fragrances for a really long time, which is interesting. I wonder how Louis Vuitton kind of get away with that. I guess the branding, Louis Vuitton as a brand is just so strong that they can just make anything and people will buy it, even if they don't really have like the same heritage that Chanel does or Hermès. Like Chanel and Hermès have been making fragrances forever. They've had very famous in-house perfumers like Polge and stuff. And you know, Louis Vuitton doesn't have that same level of heritage with their beauty lines and their fragrances. So I don't really understand kind of the craze about their stuff, to be honest, but that's kind of where everything is going. So anyway, that's why people are talking about it. People are also really happy about the sustainability factor of it because it's refillable. So the way that the lipstick is designed is so you can actually keep the case and then you can just replace like the lipstick. And that's the case with all the beauty products, by the way. They're all replaceable. So even though the price of the lipstick itself is $160, I think they said the replacement will be $61. So that's why people are ranting and raving over it. People are like, oh my God, it's so sustainable. Sorry, the refill is $69, by the way, not 61, $69. People are like, oh my God, it's so sustainable, which I don't know why that's so impressive to people because almost every brand does that. Dries Van Noten, for example, with his fragrances, you can buy a refill and all the bottles are designed to be refillable for that exact reason. Like that's nothing new. I don't know why we praise these luxury brands for doing the bare minimum, especially with the prices that they charge. At a minimum, they should be providing stuff like that. So I'm never one of those people that like praises luxury brands for doing like very basic things, especially when they're charging a high price point. But reasons why I think it might not work. I think one is just really the price shock. I think it's way too expensive compared to all the competitors. It's way too expensive. Let me pull up that graph once again. Like, just look at the average price of the Louis Vuitton lipsticks compared to the competitors. It's too high. It's too high. Like, why? What is so special about Louis Vuitton that you would bypass Dior, Chanel, Tom Ford, and Hermès to buy the Louis Vuitton lipstick, other than you're so elitist? What is pushing your purchase decisions is, I don't want to have something that's accessible to others. I don't want to have the same lipstick that others have. So I'm going to buy the one that's least accessible to people, because I know there are people that are so snobbish, they're like that. But I just don't see any other reason why you would, to be honest. What could possibly be that much better about the Louis Vuitton lipstick over the Hermès or the Chanel lipsticks or the Dior lipstick? I don't know. I don't really know. And said, okay, LV got Chanel on the refills. The Chanel 31 Le Rouge refills, $90. LV being, yeah, $69 is pretty good. Yeah. Only slightly. And Luke says it's literally just status, and they know people will fall for it. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. There's a really good paragraph via this article on BOF where they were kind of talking about the stakes for Louis Vuitton. I actually want to read it because I think it was actually a great part that was written. Shout out to Daniela Morosini from BOF who wrote this. So kind of what I was saying about the price shock, they said, but its best pitch might be that even at $160, its lipstick is still affordable compared with the rest of Louis Vuitton offerings. Like many of its peers, the brand has raised prices aggressively since the beginning of the revenge spending phenomenon that emerged during COVID lockdowns. Between 2017 and 2022, Louis Vuitton nearly doubled the price of its popular Neverfull to more than $2,000. The brand has also been releasing bags at even higher price points, as it positions itself as a seller of $4,000 leather handbags to the wealthy, rather than $750 canvas totes for the middle class. Now, to pause there, the reason why Louis Vuitton is doing that, and the reason why they changed their strategy in that direction, is because they're trying to be Hermès. I think Hermès has shown that there's a blueprint to sit at the top of the food chain in terms of price point and only appeal to like a certain clientele and still be able to earn the same revenue figures that Louis Vuitton does. So they've realized that they would rather sit at the top of that market. So that's why they're rebranding everything and they're slowly positioning themselves to where they can sell bags the same cost as Birkins. Even Chanel is doing that, right? The prices of their bags are becoming so high that customers of Chanel are quite literally saying, it's so close to Hermès at this point, I might as well just save and get Hermès, because at least I know with Hermès, the quality will be a lot better. And I think that's the issue that Chanel and Louis Vuitton are always going to have. They just always think of things in terms of price, like we're trying to align with the price of Hermès, but they don't have the quality of Hermès. So it's not the same. But yeah, but reading on. So even when its bags were more affordable, Louis Vuitton set prices very high in non-core categories, which is something I pointed out earlier. When you look at the cheaper leather goods that Louis Vuitton sells, it tends to be more expensive than a lot of the competitors because they're trying to sit higher on the market. So like they said, including eyewear and fragrance to create a halo of luxury around its more accessible lines. Perfume, first released in 2016, starts at $350, more than $100 above many other designer perfumes. And that's kind of alluding to what I said, where the Louis Vuitton fragrances are more aligned with private lines like Chanel L'Exclusives, Dior Privé, those kind of lines. So it's very interesting how they've done that. Shoppers willing to pay those prices probably won't blink an eye at the cost of the new cosmetics line and may be upsold on the brand's new leather lipstick pouches and blotting paper wallets as well. Louis Vuitton could have a major advantage as a first mover among the big fashion houses in going after the uber wealthy beauty niche. And I totally agree. And that was basically the point I was making earlier. This exact point where they could be at an advantage because they're the first mover among the big fashion houses, really pushing their products to the uber wealthy could be smart if it works. Because like I said, there are people that are so snobbish, all they care about is accessibility. So they don't even know what quality is, they don't care what quality is. Their whole thing is, it's more expensive, so I want to buy it because less people can afford it. So therefore, I'm one of the select few. That a lot of people are like that. And Louis Vuitton is kind of pushing their beauty in that sense. I want to know though, because the price of these things only ever go up, they never come down. I want to know when eventually the prices of Louis Vuitton lipstick raises to like $300, how exactly do they justify that in the sense of what do they have to do to be able to sell lipstick for $300? Do they have to start gold plating the casing and stuff like that? Obviously, they won't do that because profit margins. But I'm just curious about that, if that could work long term with the prices going that high. And then once again, An issue I think with this launch is the target market is too narrow because the ultra wealthy, that's all fine and dandy, but lipstick and beauty is a mass market product. And the reason why they are cash cows for luxury brands is because they're accessible to people. $160 for lipstick is not accessible because there's so many options before you get to 160. So almost no one, unless you have money to throw around, literally will buy lipstick for $160 because you can literally buy Chanel and Hermès and Tom Ford and Dior before you get to the Louis Vuitton. So why would you do that, right? So if it's not rich people buying it, I don't know how rich people can make them billions in the beauty space. I just don't see that. The reason why Dior makes so much money is, yes, they have a private line of fragrances, but they also have Dior Sauvage, and they also have Miss Dior, and they also have J'adore, and they also have all those other fragrances and all those other beauty products that sit a lot lower on the market, right? So that's why I don't think it will work, in the sense I don't think it's going to make as much money as maybe they're projecting, but I think it could work in the sense of helping to keep that prestige of Louis Vuitton as they continue to try and rebrand themselves as an Hermes type of brand with those kind of price points. Luke says conspicuous consumption. They had laws in place to combat this kind of wanton consumerism in the Middle Ages. How the world has fallen. Yeah, all roads lead to Hermes. Exactly. Exactly. ADF says maybe it'll work at first, but if it's like another luxury lipstick, they'll lose consumers once the novelty is gone. Yeah. I just don't think it's mass market enough. And I think beauty always needs to be mass market. This is giving Apple. Once other brands see people caving and buying these high priced products, other brands will most likely also raise their price. Yeah, of course. Of course. Of course. I mean, even the reason why all these brands are raising their bag prices is because of Hermes and the Birkin bag craze. So everyone's like, well, if they can do it, we can do it. That's why the prices of bags are outrageous these days. And that's why they don't make sense. All they have to do is get the right influencers, and regular people will come. It's expensive, but can be bought by the middle class. Yes, it can, but I just think that the competition is stiff. So they really have to do good marketing to try and basically say that their product is better than everyone else. Okay, so something to discuss is that the line launched China first this week on Wednesday. Any thoughts on luxury slowdown in Asia and the pivot to beauty? Something synonymous with Asian luxury. Yeah, I think it's smart because I mean, yeah, Asia is very well known for the beauty industry. I mean, Korea especially. So that makes all the sense in the world. And the luxury slowdown is obviously because of the economic downturn. The middle class, especially in key markets like China, has really been waning, and therefore the luxury consumers are, reducing. So now you're producing something that is a lot lower on the totem pole in terms of price that people can buy into. So I think it makes a lot of sense from that perspective for sure. Did you see Dakota Johnson and Gucci by Demna? No, I haven't seen that. I remember when celebrities were tastemakers. Jeez. I could never in good faith advise someone to buy Louis Vuitton out of the store unless it's ready to wear, or a trunk even still. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought it was crazy. I really kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on this sort of beauty launch because I think if it works, it could really shape the way that, or the direction that the beauty industry goes in, and everything will get significantly more expensive. So enjoy your affordable luxury lipstick while it lasts, because if this rollout is successful, prepare to start paying $160 for lipstick and over $200 for an eyeshadow palette. So enjoy it while it lasts, guys. Enjoy it while it lasts. Let me just have a look at the campaign on YouTube quickly. Of course, Red Desert. Beauty campaigns are always so boring and soulless. Okay, cool. It has this sort of dusty powder going, which is supposed to represent, like eyeshadow. And fragrance and beauty campaigns, they're always so, like, they don't make sense. A red desert. Okay, the sun is glistening, metal hardware with the eyeshadow palette, and then a model. Let me pause. Why is there always that pose, guys? Why is there always that pose where the model is like sideways and they go, "What is that?" In every beauty campaign, they always do that. I find it so funny. Showing us a lip. They've gotten models with a nice full lips so that they can showcase their lipstick. They even have the trunk. This is also something that I think is going to do really well, by the way. Like the accessories that come with the beauty product. So the things like the trunk to house all your beauty products, also the leather pouches for the lipstick and stuff like that. That's going to sell like hotcake because people want like their initials customized, and then you know, Louis Vuitton can upcharge them and stuff like that. Yeah, these campaigns always make me laugh. It's always a model that's just like hands on the waist. It's so funny. I always wonder because these campaigns actually cost loads of money. They always cost loads and loads of money. And it's like, can you imagine that someone like an art director got paid loads of money to just be like, okay, turn, okay, look up, look up, look up, look up, look up, look up, okay. Now rotate your body to the right hand side. 45 degrees. Okay, perfect. You're doing so well. You're doing so well. Okay, now look directly into the camera and pout your lips. Okay, perfect. And then that's just the end of the campaign. Now says something that came up in the Discord chat on this is how the eyeshadow colorways are really basic and how this is probably on purpose. Also, the lipstick trunk is 3 racks. Yeah, exactly, which is why, like I said, they're really going to upsell. I think that's what's actually going to make them some serious money. Like the accessories for the beauty products rather than the beauty products themselves. Like, yeah, a 3K trunk is insane for your beauty products. That is absolutely outrageous. Yeah, I used to love old perfumes as beauty ads, but they all suck now. Yeah, I think across the board. And I used to think that creativity has gone downhill over the years. Maybe it has from a design standpoint, but I think in terms of like campaigns and stuff, do you know what I actually think it is? I think as these luxury brands have gone more mass market, they are required and almost mandated in a way to be less and less interesting because they have to appeal to more and more different markets all at once, all with different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions. So they don't want to do anything that could be potentially edgy or even remotely creative because then someone could be offended or it could be seen as insensitive in like certain markets. So I think that's part of what's killing creativity because they're so mass market now, like luxury brands. So they have to just appeal to every single person all at once. And when you appeal to everyone at once, it's the outcome is always going to be bland. That's the only way you appeal to as many people as possible, by making the driest, most uninteresting, most run-of-the-mill, basic campaigns. That's the only way you do that successfully. Now says the single lipstick trunk is 3K. The carrying case for 5 is 5K. Damn. Yeah, but not the beauty trunks. The trunks that go up to hundreds of thousands are the actual trunks, like the Louis Vuitton, like what they're known for, like the stuff that they make in the Asnieres in France. Like some of them are insane. Like some of them they make them with like exotic leathers, and those some of them are like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's crazy. I do like trunks though. I think trunk making as like a thing is actually quite cool, and I like that Louis Vuitton actually still does that, even though. Will I ever be able to afford one of those trunks? Probably not. And if I could afford it, would I buy Louis Vuitton? Probably not. But yeah, it's insane. This is highway robbery, and I like buying luxury makeup. Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny because some people are in two minds. A lot of people are really sensitive to the price, and then a lot of people are saying that, I like it because it's different and blah, blah, blah. But I don't really see what's so unique or different about it. So yeah, but anyway, that is the Louis Vuitton beauty drop. Of course, if you watch it back, let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are.